Yeah, that's funny. It's actually timed like right on point. It went live right as I did that. But welcome all to the show. You are now watching Drew Boy Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph, here with the homie and my co-host, the homie Kai. What's
Hey,
happening,
hey,
bro?
hey.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy to be alive. Happy to talk sports talk today, man. It's going to be a fun show.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this one. Finals is getting kind of tense
Hmm.
with the game last night. But before we get started, let's send a little shout out to the sponsor. You want to do any music videos, photo shoots, podcasts like what you're watching, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And everybody's been talking about leading up to game 5 last night. Everybody
Yeah.
was talking about Steph Curry and the amount of help he's been getting. Last night disproved that theory. So instead of talking about whether or not he deserves to be the MVP, I wanted to talk about the MVP ladder
Yeah.
because anybody could win it at this point.
Right, right.
Who do you have ranked and where and why?
Okay. So my ranking, I kind of projected on based off of, how they're performing and who's winning the series. I guess who I believe is going to win the series, and then kind of going from there. That's just me. So before the series started, as you know, I picked Andrew Wiggins to win uh, excuse me, the MVP. I'm actually pulling up my notes here, and I think he's performing relatively decent, averaging close to 20 and 10. 20 points, that is 10 rebounds. But right now, the actual stats are 18 and 9, and shooting 46% from the field. His 3-point shots have been off, and his free throw percentage has been off. But he's someone who I said would need to step up offensively to help Steph Curry when Klay Thompson's jump shots weren't going. But I'm actually going to go with Steph Curry number one for now, because with game one, we saw that Steph Curry, he came out with an aggressive mindset, an assertive mindset to try to set the tone offensively for their team. But ultimately, Boston wound up prevailing, and Al Horford was the player of the game. But then as the series waned, we started to see the Boston Celtics make defensive adjustments just like last game, and we saw the others type to step up. But I believe that Steph Curry's gravity in this series definitely opens things up for the players, and he's averaging like 30 points per game, 41% from three. I mean, he's doing his thing. So I'm going to go with Steph number one. Number two, I like Jaylen Brown. I feel like Jaylen Brown has been the guy who's attacking the rim the most. We actually talked about this last night. And whenever the Celtics have gone on a run so far in this series, Ralph, Jaylen Brown's been the catalyst for it. And I think we're starting to see a recurring theme. We saw it versus the Bucks, with the exception of the Jason Tatum versus Giannis match. I think it was game 6 back in Milwaukee. We saw it versus the Miami Heat, and now we're seeing it versus the Golden State Warriors. I think Jaylen Brown should get his flowers, should get his roses, so to speak, if they're able to pull it out. I believe that Jaylen Brown is going to need to continue to, carry his weight and assist Jason Tatum, who's considered the superstar on that team, if the Celtics are going to win. So I got Jaylen Brown number two. Number three, I actually have A. Wiggins. I know now this is going to be a controversial pick. Some people would put Jason Tatum there, but I just feel like Jason Tatum, considering Kobe's my favorite player, when we talk about shot selection, how dare I? But I feel like Andrew Wiggins has done a little bit more for them. I think Jason Tatum, when I'm looking at turnovers, when I'm looking at what Andrew Wiggins did, Ralph, in game one defensively to Jason Tatum. So my thing is just what you're doing over the body of work. And that thing could change. I would probably say that they're tied. And any outside shots, I thought Al Horford. Maybe you had Al Horford as well, maybe early. But Al Horford would have to have maybe 30 and 10 the next 2 games and they win, I think, for him to get into consideration. So that's my ladder. That's my ladder, bro. All right.
Mine is similar as far as the top. I think I switch things around.
Okay.
When it comes to I would push Wiggs out
No wigs.
And then, like, if I was doing 5, he would be on there like shortly after. But I would put
Okay.
Tatum first, then Brown.
Okay.
And I just think like when you start talking about like the like the pool, the type of pool that Steph Curry has, I think Tatum has that same type of pool where they're sending their best defender to Tatum. They're not sending them to Brown. So now Brown is now being guarded by a hobbled Poole, or not Poole, but Clay Thompson and Poole. And then they were even like last night switching and letting Steph guard him. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm going straight in your chest. And so it's like I do enjoy that toughness of Jalen, but at the same time, I do think that him having that ability to stay aggressive while also it doesn't matter who is guarding him, but he's also having a lesser defender, he's able to benefit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like the fact that Jason Tatum has stepped up his playmaking ability while also taking more focus on the defensive end,
Mm-hmm.
I would put him higher because their numbers aren't that far apart. Plus, when I'm watching it, it's like they're obviously outside of like the fact that, like you said, I don't know if you said it on camera or off air, but the aggressiveness that Jaylen Brown has versus the willingness to take certain shots that Jason Tatum has is like I understand why, because you can go either way at this point, but at the end of the day, like I think those 3 are the best, and then I think Wiggins is playing his what is it his role, and like the key to them winning is him.
Mm-hmm.
That I think will end up being why he could get that look.
Okay.
Because if everybody goes into it like, yo, somebody got to help Steph with the scoring load because Clay can't do it every night.
Wood, man. Clay
can't do it every night. So it's like we need somebody.
Yeah.
And so for him to be that somebody in a time where it's most needed, like, got to tip your hat off to him.
Hey, real quick before we move into the next topic, Game 6 is what? Not tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or the next
Thursday? Thursday.
I only mention it because Klay Thompson, a guy who's shooting 30. I have the stats in front of me. 38% from the field, probably his lowest he's ever shot in the NBA Finals. Game 6, Klay. Maybe this could be a game where he steps up for the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? So, just something interesting. See if he has any more juice left in his tank.
Right. All and then Mr. Street Clothes himself, aka Anthony Davis, was. I'm kind of sad because I would have liked to show them support, but he was on someone else's podcast and said something along the lines of when talking about when's the last time he shot a basketball, said probably April 5th. Now, if you got a calendar in front of you, tomorrow's about to be the 15th of June. So he hasn't shot a basketball in well over 2 months after not really playing that many games this season and while not making the playoffs. Is this a problem?
I think the big issue with this, Ralph, when we talk about is it a problem, I think it's a mentality with Anthony Davis, right? It's how hungry are you? How hungry are you to continue to improve? How hungry are you to win? You know, because the media can take quotes out of context. They can take quotes and run with it. I do believe Anthony Davis at one point when he's engaged and once he's elite, he's a top 5 or if not borderline top 5 player, like because he gives it to you on both ends. We saw what he could do. And it's the fact that he's 28 years old. He's a year younger than me. He's in his prime. Your prime starts when you're freaking like 27 through like 32 in the NBA. And I would say the biggest issue I have with biggest problem I ever had with Anthony Davis, I'm going to just be honest with you, and I continue to say this, is 2 things. 1, his lack of durability, and 2, the heart. That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? We saw it because unlike KG, someone who mentored him at one point in time, he's mentored AD and Giannis. And those 2 are totally different. You know, AD, all these types of skill, but once he won, it's like, okay, I don't really got it anymore. He doesn't have the fire, excuse me. I don't even like to say heart. He doesn't have the fire. And so that's what really bothers me. You know, I don't like to kill players. I like to use our platform to, just give the truth though. But when I hear things like that, I'm like, because then he'll be like, well, my statistics, my points per game were better than the year before. My field goal percentage was better. My rebounds, I think, were better. So the statistics technically don't show you that he had that far of a drop off from the calf strain year that he had. However, I think it's just with him, to wrap it up, is do you have the fire and the desire? Bars. You know what I'm saying? Desire. So that's really kind of how I took it. And a nice little hot take. Atlanta Hawks, don't make that trade for Rudy Gobert. Go get Anthony Davis. There's a nice package involved where I would send Kevin Huerter, a 3-point shooter to LeBron James. I would send John Collins, a stretch four to LeBron James. And then from the Lakers, I would try to scoop up Jalen Johnson and Trae Young and pair him with Anthony Davis, a guy that we talked about. Me, you, and Tar mentioned this trade a couple months ago. But I just threw that out there because we're on the topic of AD. I think maybe he needs to change the scenery. But there you go. All right.
I actually do. I do also.
Okay.
I think that as well. Like, I think that it would. I don't know. I just don't really see him as like an LA guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just kind of chill out.
Yeah. He's like a little too chill. It's like I think they need. I think if Russ could find a way to play better, like, I feel like that LA would love him, because I think that he is an LA guy because he's from there. But at the same time, it's like, if you're successful, your team will go crazy for you. Like Derrick Rose. Like, the city went crazy for him because he's from there.
He's still the most exciting player I've seen since Kobe Bryant. Period. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, that is. Like,
hey, he hit Kobe for game too.
Facts.
On Christmas.
I think he called it too. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so, but to get back to the topic at hand, I do think it's a problem, but not for like what people are most likely going crazy for. Like, it's been 2 months. Why he hasn't shot a basketball in 2 months?
Exactly.
Like, by all means, I watch a lot of podcasts.
Yeah,
basketball podcasts, from old heads all the way to recent players. And Gilbert Arenas has said it on multiple occasions that some dude, like when he came in the league, some dudes was not taking care of their bodies. They would just get to training camp, and then they would start taking care of their bodies. So it's like, it's not that that this is not normal. So like, I don't get where like the backlash is coming from. Like this, people take time off when they need to. Not everybody is LeBron that takes a month off and then gets back to work. Look at that man's physical physique. Not everybody got that kind of drive.
No, you're right.
It's like, and he's one of the GOATs. So it's like, at some point, like Shannon Sharp always says, not everybody's gonna go get it. Some people, it's like, I'm cool, bro. Like I got all the skills. I don't really gotta go work out at 6 in the morning every night or every morning.
Yeah, Allen Iverson. I think Dante Jones mentioned that about AI in Denver and how and I don't like Dante Jones. I'm just gonna keep it real. But I don't know him personally, but I don't like how he used to play on the court, that is. But he mentioned Allen Iverson, and like, he's like, I'm going to the club, or he goes to the club, he be partying and all this kind of stuff. Everyone else has to put up shots or do like shoot around and all that. AI comes in and it has 50 in the game. This leaves. I'm like, bro, and he said that's when the friction would start, because like, bro, he can do that, but we can't, because that's AI. Some people are like that. Like
it's because you physically can't do that though. You're not putting up 50 with no shoot around.
Facts. And AI was an elite athlete. I hope people remember that. Like he was dude had bunnies. He was crazy fast. Yeah. He was like a different athlete. Like D Wade was explosive. AI was just like, what is it? His fast twitch fibers. He had type 2 fast twitch fibers. It was crazy. So
yeah. Bros was crazy with it.
So I feel like everyone's different. Everyone's body's different too.
And then, so the draft is coming up. I think
the draft.
not this Thursday coming up, but
23rd.
Thursday after that.
I think June 23rd.
We got the draft coming up. So I wanted to talk about, because next week we're going to do like a real analysis. Like a real analysis as far as like a mock draft or anything like that. But this topic is, who are your favorite 5 players in the draft?
All right. So I have a couple players. I really have 3. I'm gonna keep it real with you, but I'm gonna kind of expound on it. There's some other guys I like because I feel like there's actually gonna be some busts in this draft. I mean, there's busts in every draft, but I ain't really sold on Chet Holmgren. I'm gonna keep it real with you because I do believe the size. That earlier. Yeah, the size issue I do believe is a problem, and people are like, well, yeah, they said the same thing about KD. He's not KD. That's one. But one thing I learned, Ralph, and I'm gonna get to it is, I always say the greatest players to me of all time are wing players, and they're all Nikes: Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. But they all 3 have something in common. They can shoulder a scoring load. And we can talk about, there's other parts of the game, but there's something about shouldering the scoring load and being the offensive engine for your team, and when you need to book it down the stretch. And guys who I believe can really do that, I like Jaden Ivey from Purdue. Whew. I mean, look, man. Look, when you watch film,
talk about it.
Because Holmgren, I heard someone on CBS Sports headquarters say, Chet Holmgren, the analytics say, and the analytics darling. Bro, screw the analytics. When you watch film, this dude, Jaden Ivey, like, he jumps off. Mm-hmm. That matters. He has Westbrook, Wade, and Mitchell type movement on the court. He's just fast. It's going to translate to the NBA. He can finish with left hand. He can finish with right hand. You know what I'm saying? He has a motor. He likes to talk. He got the shot. Some people may say it's kind of like a line drive shot, but he can work on that. He has a handle. So, okay, I can use it, hit you with the in and out to get to my sweet spots, to my kill spots. And athletically, okay, it's going to be hard for you to beat me off the dribble. And if you beat me off the dribble, I can recover and block the shot. And he actually attempts to block the shot. He attempts to get steals. So I like what he can do on both ends of the court. And I just feel like he's a guy, Ralph, that stands out to me as, oh, that dude is an NBA player. You feel me? All right. And the next person that I'm gonna talk about, I do like Jabari Smith. He's not my favorite. But he has a little bit of Ingram in him. He has a little bit of the Durantula type shot to him. He's long, lanky. I like that about him. I think he has like a 7'3" wingspan or something like that. I had his stats in front of me. But what I like about his game is this. He gets the ball and he's patient. Now, there's times when he's quick. There's times when you need to be patient. He's patient. He can rise up and shoot it. He can hit you in the mid-range. And he even has a little bit of post game. He's 6'10", I believe, and he can handle the ball, but his handle is not quite elite. And I think there's things going. But he kind of reminds me of old boy Benji. Was it Benji Simmons or Benji? I forgot old boy's name. The Hooper from back in the day. He reminds me of him. So he's someone who I feel like if he goes to the right team, he could be there. And then my last person, I'm just going to do 3. I'm going to go with Jalen Duren. I know I've been talking about Duren for a while. Yes, I understand his offensive game, his offensive package is kind of limited. And I kept looking at the tape throughout the season when I watched him during the season, watching his highlights. And I'm like, Dwight Howard. And the reason why I say Dwight Howard, he's not completely the same as Dwight Howard. It's different. But Dwight wasn't super big when he first came in. Mm-hmm. Duren is 6'10". Dwight was like a 6'11", 6'10", 6'11". Duren's listed at 250. Elite athleticism, explosive, gets rebounds, blocks everything.
7'5" wingspan.
7'5" wingspan, that will translate.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do? He gets a lot of points on lobs, assist. Okay, alley-oops, throw it to him. Dwight Howard, okay, and he can switch 1 through 5 like Bam. His post footwork needs work, but he's only 19 or 18, 19. His post footwork work. He needs to develop a 3-point shot. And I think that's really it. I don't think that you should ask him to do too much. But if he goes to a team like the Charlotte Hornets with a guy like LaMelo Ball, get him a couple lobs, feed your big man early on lobs and stuff like that. And then he's going to give you the energy and effort on the defensive end. And I feel like he actually brings energy and effort even when he's not involved in the game. So those are my 3, man. All right.
I'm just gonna take 3 because you mentioned some people that I would have mentioned, like Jalen Durham, someone I definitely had my eyes on. I like defense, and I like versatility on defense. Like, one of the things I like, and I've actually, after having this conversation with you and then going back and watching some of the games and film as far as their defense, I'll give Rudy Gobert a little bit more credit than what I was giving him before as far as being a perimeter defender, because he's not as bad, but he still gets burnt by like really athletic people.
Yeah,
you get him out on the island, and then it's a wrap. Break him down. But so Jalen Duren doesn't. I think he's better at that, where he can go out and guard on an island, and then go down and guard you in the post, where he's going to catch lobs. He's definitely brings that energy. And like watching it, I'm like, yo, I don't know who this big dude is. But that's not a wall I would want to run into on the screen.
Bro.
And so I definitely had him on the list. I had Jabari because he's a shoot, like he could shoot like at 6'10. At 6'10. So this is me doing my 5. That's one person I had on there. Jabari, and this is in no particular order. Next week we can get in it and get into that deeper. But he shot over 40% at 43% from 3, which a lot of people, it is now the distance does move, but when you shoot that high, from a certain from distance, you've got to think that. And there was some of them shots that if you watch this game, some of those shots are from deep. So I think that game would translate. But for me personally, I think that this is a tough one for me to say, like, who I think is the best out of this, because I think Jaden Ivey should be the number 1 pick, but because I think he has less holes in his game. But at the same time, for the sake of being able to do everything while also being bigger, Paolo Banchero is wild, bro. He's 6'10", 250, can grab the rebound, break you down off the dribble, pull up from 3, but then, like how you said Jabari isn't the handler, like Paolo is the handler.
There we go.
That Jabari is not. So I think that there's more holes in Jabari's game, but he's also a better shooter. So it's like, are you going to take the shooter, or are you going to take the person that can kind of do everything?
Yeah.
And it just depends on what type of team you're trying to build. So for me, like, that's why I said next week we'll get into it, because then at that point we can look at positional need versus the actual best player. But like I said, Jaden Ivey, super athletic, great shooter. Like if he was 6'7", I would have took him.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think his knock will be, okay, position, what is he playing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Is he going to be guarding, point guarding, shooting guarding, etc.? And I think that will be something. And I think, how tall is Mitchell though? Is Mitchell 6'3"?
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
He's 6'4". They might list him at 6'5", but I feel like he's 6'4".
Yeah, because I'm like, he's not. There's no way he's 6'5", but
yeah.
So, okay. That's why I'm like, it's gonna be interesting.
I think that's one of those things where, like, Paolo is benefiting from being able to do a lot of things that Jaden Ivey can do, but he's bigger. Where, like, I think Jaden Ivey is he's super athletic. Like, he reminds me of like the athleticism of like a John Morant, but you gave him like the body of Donovan Mitchell.
And exactly. And you think about this, Ralph, right? Because you mentioned Paolo. I get that. But even with Ivy, though, you got to think about how open the NBA court is.
Exactly.
And I believe he's going to benefit. So, like, that's why I'm like, because I know we're not saying who's the best per se right now, but I feel like that's why I believe, and obviously I don't want to give it away, but we might be hinting at who really should be going 1, 2, and 3 in this conversation over who the consensus thinks should be going number 1 in the draft, because I feel like some of these players' game will translate way more in the open court in the next level. So, yeah.
I got a question as far as like when you say bust. So when you say bust, is a bust not meeting expectation, or is a bust not being good?
A bust is not being good to me.
Okay.
It's not being good to me.
Because I don't think Chet will be a bust. Yeah. I just don't think he's as good as, like, his role in the NBA will not be number 1 pick worthy. But if he was a lottery pick, I would feel better about his role because he can take you off the dribble. He can shoot. He has a 7'6" wingspan. He's just a little light in the britches.
Right.
And hopefully you can either play him, either put some weight on him, or if he stays like a KD type, you just have him play not the 5, but have him play the 4.
Yeah.
So then at that point, he can help instead of being the direct line defender. He can help on D. He can still stretch. He can take you off the dribble. I've seen him grab a rebound, go behind his back, and finish. So it's like he has game. It's just he's 190 pounds, which is 20 pounds lighter than me. And he's also 7 foot. So, like, you take me, add 12 inches to my height, and then take 20 pounds from me, and that will give you the size of a Chet Holmgren. And so it's like, we don't. These analyses are not to tear down any of these people that we are talking about.
Right.
At a certain point, you just got to compare them. And I'm trying to give him his flowers because he is nice. I don't want
he's nice.
Nobody coming back saying, "Wait, y'all talk about he gonna be trash." Like, I never said that. I just think that if I have the number 1 pick and the top 3 prospects all play the same position, why would I and I would gotta break them down. I gotta say, why would I take this person over this person? But I do think the Magic, I don't really see anybody over there that makes me like, I don't have a piece that I can build around. I can build I feel like one of these 3 dudes are a piece you can build around. I just think that I think that Chet will be more of a complementary piece than the head of your team. Where I think Paolo is that.
Chet's not number 1 option.
And Jaden Ivey is that too.
Right.
I think Jabari, he got to get his handle up, or he gonna be that complimentary piece because he can catch and shoot so great.
Yeah. He looks like one of those guys who many of the guys that the Atlanta Hawks wound up drafting.
Yeah.
That's really what he is. Atlanta Hawks, that's his type, you know what I'm saying? And I was gonna say with Chet, I agree with what you're saying. I was gonna say he's not number 1 option. And here's the one thing. Everyone's like, oh, Chet's the best player in the draft. Chet's the number 1 pick. Chet and Jalen Suggs. You're gonna pair him with Jalen Suggs. And I try to tell people about Jalen Suggs, but it's this.
Jalen Suggs hooped in his rookie season, though.
He hooped in his rookie season, but it didn't really move me, bro. But then again, no one in Orlando moves me. Now, Mo Bamba, though, dude, I don't know where he came from, bro. But to stay on topic, it's this. No one seems to bring up, and that's why I'm glad you brought it up. Well, you brought up that you expect him to be a complimentary piece, but I've yet to hear an analyst say that Chet Holmgren was the number 1 option at Gonzaga when he wasn't. Drew Timme was. Now, obviously, you saw Chet's potential. Don't get me wrong, but everyone that you mentioned was the number 1 option.
Yeah.
So then I'm gonna go real quick, and then before we move on, what position does Giannis play? He plays multiple positions, but he plays everyone. But his primary position,
I say 4.
He's the 4, right?
He's typically the 4.
And what position is Chet probably going to play? If he's stretching out from 3 and all that kind of stuff, he'll probably play the 4. Okay, so you got to.
With how tall he is, though, he could play the 5. It's just
But
whether or not.
he's gonna have the AD syndrome because he don't want to guard Embiid. Embiid will
hell,
dunk on him.
hell
That's my point. You guys see Embiid like 3 times a season. Come on, man.
barbecue chicken.
Right, barbecue chicken, and then out west, Zion, bro. That dude's gonna be like Kendrick Lamar in Silent Hill. Pushed him off me like, huh.
well, there's a possibility that if they add new teams, that Zion could go out east. He could be because ain't no way that Memphis and New Orleans is in the Western Conference, bro. Like, come on, we got that. We don't even. Nobody ever talks about that.
That you know what, bro? That's weird, bro. I just had a Weebate moment from The Wire.
But then, hey, I do got to send a shout out to one last person before we move on.
All right.
I found the next Charles Barkley, y'all.
His name girl?
Is Kenneth Lofton Jr.
I thought it was that girl I sent you.
Nah, hey, hold up. No, we will not be doing that. Nope. Nah. Like
we just joking, man.
Jokes is jokes, but I ain't finna use my platform to make fun of nobody. Unless you do some dumb stuff. But
I know, right? Anyway, Shaq and the Fool, moving on.
I can make fun of her for just existing. But yeah. Kenneth Lofton Jr. out of Louisiana Tech, 6'7", 275. He's from Port Arthur, Texas. Big country boy. But bros can move. He got good feet work, not footwork, feet work. He got a cool mid-range, but he got to extend his game out to the 3. But I do think, like, he averaged 17 points and 11 rebounds a game. He had good – excuse me. He's a great – he's a decent to good passer out of the double team. And I think that, like, his size with also the way that the game is being played could work in his favor, where the game is going smaller, but he's also a big body at 6'7", 280. But with the same thing with the whole Zion thing,
yeah,
can he get his weight down? And I think I don't think that he's going to be a high pick. I think he could be a late to early second round pick, just because he doesn't have like crazy athleticism like a Charles Barkley.
Right.
But the size and weight and how he played at the combine compared to his peers, I think he showed that he could be a real good NBA player. Okay. I found the next Charles
Barkley. Charles Barkley is gonna ask you on Twitter, man.
What'd you say, Nacho? But on to the next one, man. Lamar Jackson. Now, currently,
right,
he has joined the team. But when I said this, when I came up with this topic, he had not joined the team yet. But it's still up for discussion. Does Lamar Jackson deserve to be highest paid QB?
All right, so I'm going to preface my comments with saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Ladies and gentlemen, Lamar Jackson is my favorite player in the NFL and may go down as my favorite NFL player of all time. Right now, it's Ray Lewis. That being said, I'm going to make some really cool, compelling arguments or cases of certain things, whatever. Or excuse me, present some data. However, to answer the question directly, as it currently stands, I do not believe that Lamar Jackson deserves to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But I do believe that ultimately by the end of this season, if the season goes how I think it may go, he will be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And obviously things are based off of the market, right? Hence why Matthew Stafford at one point was the highest paid. But the only reason why I say he doesn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback is nothing to do with, lack of skill or not winning or et cetera, et cetera. It's the fact that if we look at the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, right? Okay. The highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, top 5, are Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, and Derek Carr. 2 out of the 5 these quarterbacks that are also the top 2 highest paid quarterbacks is Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. What do they both have in common? They both have been league MVPs. Aaron Rodgers has been a 2-time back-to-back league MVP, going on his 3rd consecutive, which would tie Brett Favre for most in like a stretch like that, right? He's also a Super Bowl champ, so he's delivered a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is a MVP. He's also a Super Bowl champ. And both of those 2 players are considered the 2 most skilled from a throwing perspective, period, in the NFL. That's a good, compelling case. Deshaun Watson has yet to produce in the playoffs, right? And obviously he has pending allegations, etc. Josh Allen made the AFC Championship game, but does not have a league MVP. He has a wealth of talent around him. They built that team around him. And then Derek Carr, a quarterback who I considered to be underrated every single year. Really good deep ball thrower, plays in a pass-happy division and keeps that team afloat. But I definitely believe that Lamar should be paid more than Derek Carr. And I believe he should be paid more than Josh Allen. And I believe he should be paid more than Deshaun Watson. So if you look at the average salaries, and I'll get on with it, that would put him at about $44 million, nestled comfortably behind Patrick Mahomes, who makes $45, and Josh Allen, who makes $43. Why? Because Lamar Jackson does what, J.Rock? Win, 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 win. All right, his win-loss record for his career is 37-12, right? He's a model of consistency in the regular season. He's the 2019 unanimous MVP, tied with the GOAT Tom Brady. He's the best quarterback. Once again, he's the best quarterback in his draft class. Josh Rosen was in his draft class, no longer in the league doing anything. Baker Mayfield is a backup, right? And then Josh Allen has had more weapons than him. I consider Lamar Jackson, Ralph, every single season. I've said this since like the last, I should say like 2 or 3 seasons. He's technically the most valuable player in the NFL, but he's not going to win it every year because he's able to do more with less. For example, last season, the Ravens were the number 1 seed in the AFC prior to Lamar's injury. After his injury, they lost 5 straight games, right? Okay. When he had an offensive line in 2019, he was a unanimous MVP. He had a Hall of Fame right guard in Marshall Yanda, Hall of Fame right guard. He had an all-pro left tackle in Ronnie Stanley and a Pro Bowl right tackle in Orlando Brown Jr. They trade him to the Chiefs, who made the Super Bowl. That same year they traded him. Yanda retired, right? And then Stanley wound up getting extended, and he wound up, getting injured. So last season or whatever, he didn't have those guys, okay? And then the season prior to that, his line was banged up, and they wound up losing to the Bills. So if you look at his help and you look at other people, young quarterbacks in the league, you had DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, all pro. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all pro receiver. Baker Mayfield, Odell, all pro receiver. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, 3-time all pro receiver. So what talent has Lamar Jackson had around him? Even this offseason, I think that, the roster is nice and all that, but they invested in Kyle Hamilton. They tried to get Bobby Wagner. They tried to get Zadarius Smith. They added Kyle Fuller. They signed Marcus Williams, right? They traded away Hollywood Brown. So they invest in their defense, but they're not really investing high-end resources and surrounding Lamar with weapons, and yet he's still able to win, at least in the regular season. And then my last point is we can look at his playoff numbers. I'm not going to lie. His playoff numbers, they're just not high. Part of that is Lamar Jackson. That's why I don't believe he should be the highest paid, but a lot of it is due to the lack of the offensive line, right, dropping off significantly, and Greg Roman, who Steve Smith Sr., period. You know what I'm saying? Greg Roman, I can't stand him, bro. Steve Smith Sr. and Kurt Warner.
I be forgetting that he's still the offensive coordinator.
Exactly.
We've been complaining about this man since we started this podcast, and he's still
bro.
Offensive coordinator.
He's still the offensive coordinator, right? And this is year 5. And shout out to Tar, because if he's watching this, he's gonna be like, "That's why I don't believe in y'all." But no. This is literally is our best roster. And Rashad Bateman, Tylen Wallace, those are actually some names, but they need to be utilized. But Steve Smith Sr. and Kurt Warner, these are 2 guys who have publicly called out Greg Roman. Guys with actual cachet. One guy has a yellow jacket. The other should have a yellow jacket. Marcus Spears has called out Greg Roman. You need to evolve the passing game. And so that's why I believe that Lamar should not be the highest paid quarterback, only because I'm being very objective. But I believe if he can just make the Super Bowl, not even win it, I believe that ultimately he will be the highest paid quarterback. And that's what I'm hoping for. I actually hope that he takes $60 million from the Ravens, and that's my team. Because there's some Ravens fans out there. I'm gonna call y'all out. I know who you are. I see you on social media. Oh, Lamar, he doesn't care about the team. He only cares about the money. Like, come on, man.
You see the way you see. This is my thing, and this is why
I'm sorry I had to preach, bro.
I believe that he does.
Yeah.
Because I think at the end of the day, he's so valuable to the team, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like it's not what he's not able to do, it's what the offense has him do. And so I think a lot of times people are like, oh, well, people don't want to go there because Lamar needs to get better as a quarterback. And it's like, nah, like I think if you had him do an offense where he had to drop back to throw the football,
right,
and he was looking to throw, not really going out there and looking to run or hand the ball off 30 to 40 times a game. But like at the same time, it's like he has that ability to be like a Russell Wilson, but way more athletic.
Yeah.
So where he's dropping back and then he does rollouts. Now you can take advantage of your athleticism at that point. But I think if you take him and you just got him out there running the triple option, like obviously wide receivers aren't going to go there to go block.
Right.
But then it's like he showed last year by saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get Hollywood Brown a rack," and then he went out there to do it. So now I do think a part of me is kind of like I feel like the Ravens are in a good point, a good spot, because it's kind of like addition by subtraction. If you believe you're an X, and I got someone who I believe is my X, and I need you to play the Y. And so it's like, all right, but then you want X money when it come down to it. Yeah, no, I'm just not going to do all that, bro. Because I think Rashad Bateman should be in this position, and you should play off of him. Exactly. Where it's like, all right, cool. So getting Hollywood out of there, now you got a young receiver who I'm drafting you to let you know this is your role.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think at that point, it's an addition by subtraction. So I think, plus when you got Mark Andrews, who's still out there, and I think he probably had his better season, if not his best season.
Oh, he went off.
Season. Yeah.
Yeah, he went off last season.
And so if he can add on to that and have another type of year, your offense is great when you get if you can keep your backfield healthy.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be a big deal. Somebody ringing my doorbell. Like,
I was like, who's that? It's like Domino's.
I am recording right now.
Got that 50%
if my brother did ordered some food, this man he should be sponsored by Uber Eats. Oh God, G. Like it'd be food in the refrigerator. This man will order some Uber Eats.
Hey, I've been through that, man. I might give me a Slurpee or something. I don't know, man. After this.
I was going clown on him the other day, and then he was like, "I got you a lemonade." I mean, I ain't gonna turn it down, so I'm gonna let you rock this time.
Hey, maybe he can try something from the Lamar soul food spot or something, man.
Hey, soul food sound good.
Yeah.
But to like I was saying, I do think that he should be the highest paid quarterback because he has.
I believe it too, but I know what you're saying.
But at the same time, based on the way they play him, until they change that style of offense, I don't see him. I can see him being hurt. Although, if you really watch the way he runs, he doesn't really take big hits like that. He's so twitchy that you're kind of getting like a piece of him, and that's what's knocking him down. Yeah. Instead of being like, he ain't never really had his like clock clean like how RG3 when he came back. But RG3 was a straight line runner. He wasn't really like the type to break you down.
He believed he was Superman too.
Hey, he was cold, bro. I had a pair of his socks too. Like you remember how big he was on socks? That was right around the time I had gotten the socks. So I had a pair of his like designer socks. Them joints was cool.
RG3 in the shotgun
was comfortable too.
Oh, right. He was lethal in the shotgun too in Washington.
Yeah,
He ran a shotgun offense.
and he had a cannon for an arm.
Right. No, but to kind of add to your point or bolster your point or whatever you want to call it, I agree with you. Like in my heart, obviously, I believe, and because I've been on this show batting, but I'm just saying because I'm looking at what would be the opposing viewer? What would people say? I propped them up in my argument, and then I also said, but if you look at because people. The playoff numbers, you can't deny the playoff numbers because I think it's like 68.3 quarterback rating, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, or 3 touchdowns, 5 picks. And then in his playoff win against the Titans, which was a close game, he didn't score a touchdown. But part of that is really because of due to one, the O-line, and two, the offense. Oh, he didn't score a passing touchdown, my bad.
Yeah.
But he ran because the defense turned their backs and he ran all the way out there. But I do want to say real quick, not going too long on it. But and I know I say this, it seems like you say this every year, but I've only picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl once in the last 5 years, if people have been paying attention. I picked them to go to the AFC Championship game the year after Lamar's MVP season because I thought we were going to lose there. But then COVID happened. Lamar caught COVID. Our O-line went down. And then he got concussed in the Bills game because Matt Skura decided to play the world's strongest arm contest and hike the ball all over Lamar's head. And then the following year, as we saw Alejandro Villanueva, which we mentioned, you saw. We were over at your crib. We watched the game. Raiders, aka the inside man. This dude, former Steeler, just betrayed the entire team. I never wanted us to sign him. He was the worst right tackle in all of football last year. And then but our roster,
the worst. He was the worst.
No, he was horrible, bro. I think he was the worst. He was horrible. He was horrible, bro. But our roster this year is the best roster. Once again, this is the best assembled roster in the Lamar Jackson era. And they did show when they didn't have J.K. Dobbins, when they didn't have Gus Edwards, when they didn't have whoever else was behind there, that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, I think at one point they were like 9th in pass attempts before he went down, right? Lamar Jackson, here's a statistic, had a over 90% quarterback rating or 90 QB rating on throws outside the numbers and his weak spots. Lamar Jackson with Hollywood Brown, someone who has butterfingers for hands, had over 1,000 yards. Mark Andrews had over 1,000 yards. So what do you think Rashad Bateman is going to do? I always ask people. So it was like Greg Roman, when he was desperate, he actually, oh, snap, I got to pass the ball. So they showed that they could not only pass the ball, but they were winning games from behind. Look at the Chiefs game. The pick, and then he came back from behind. He had multiple instances. That's why he was in the MVP conversation, right? Where devoid of talent, devoid of offensive line, they were still 8-3. And then the water went under the bridge. They got a lot of injuries. But to your point, and to my point, to Tar's point, they proved they could pass. But even in proving you could pass, and that was impressive, don't get me wrong. I kept saying that they were fool's gold, or I don't want to use the word fraud, but fool's gold on the show, because the Dolphins game exposed everything. It's, can you adjust? And when they played cover zero, Roman, it's like, bro, why can you not attack that? That was very embarrassing and made national television. Our coaches had to address it. We never address it for the rest of the season, which was stupid to me. But this year, Roman should be on the hot seat. And it's, I don't want to, when you have nothing else to say, bro. It's like, win or lose, this is it. This is the best roster we have at all levels. I would like us to add another receiver, one more guy, but it's really just give me some new routes. And Lamar's like, I got this. Because I think, Ralph, this. Lamar doesn't know this. I'm sure Lamar doesn't know this, but if he sits down and thinks about it, he got Hollywood traded. I'm not saying in a bad way, because the media tries to blame him for that. He got Hollywood traded because I'm going to give you something that no one knows except a Ravens fan knows. EDC had a press conference and said, I asked Lamar, I went to him personally and I said, what can we do to help you? What did Lamar Jackson say? He said, Lamar Jackson said, I just want an O-line. I just want O-line help. That's what he said. So what does EDC think? Hollywood Brown came to me months ago, right? I went out. You had almost a full year to trade him. Months ago, I went out. Hey, I have a great idea. Why don't we trade Hollywood Brown for a draft pick and draft Tyler Linderbaum? Lamar Jackson has no idea that him saying I want an O-line, he was giving EDC, oh, that's who we're trading your boy for. Bro, I figured this out in my bedroom like 3 nights ago. I was like, oh, snap. But it may pay off, right?
Right.
It may pay off.
True.
I just had to get that off my chest. Let's roll.
Yeah. And so Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson all get traded to new teams, 3 different divisions. Who's winning their division?
I'm going to let you start off because I already gave my good spiel.
Honestly, bro, like for me, obviously we know one of them is there's a possibility they could play, but we really doubt it.
He gonna miss the whole season, bro.
Yeah, might even miss 2. But at the same time, it's like when you really think about the other 2, it's like either one of them could win that division. Because I think it's like a stat since like the AFC East hasn't had a consecutive back-to-back winner since like I was in high school or something like that. And so
wait, the AFC or the NFC?
NFC.
Yeah, okay, NFC East.
Yeah,
you said
NFC
AFC.
East.
I got you.
NFC East. But like the Commanders have a very good chance. Get Chase Young back from injury. The Jonathan Allen up the middle, Montez Sweat on the other side of Chase Young. Like you got a front 7 that is a problem at that point. And then on top of that, you get a Carson Wentz, where like maybe I'm just a little biased because I did say that Carson Wentz was going to be the best quarterback out of that draft that he was in.
Yeah.
But even though he didn't go number 1, I still think that he has a certain talent and skill set. Because if you go back, like outside of them just losing the games, he never looked bad. Like his eye test and his numbers last season was like, he's not the issue with this team. I don't know why he got scapegoated. It was like, oh, we got to get him out of here now.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, there are some quarterbacks who can take outside of Michael Pittman. Who is the help? Paris Campbell was hurt a lot. T.Y. is not T.Y. no more.
Oh, yeah. Well, Paris Campbell couldn't run routes right. So that right. Too.
And so it's like at a certain point, what is he really supposed to do? Then if you go and look at his numbers, he had over 3,500 passing yards. He didn't have a high like interception rate, and he had like around like 20 touchdowns or something like that, or even probably higher than that. So it's like I never really understood. I think he had like 24 and like 7 or something like that. But it's like at a certain point, like why is he the person that's where everybody's like, oh, Carson Wentz is washed? I was like, and he relatively stayed healthy last season. Right. They just missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so it's like, did he have something to do with that? I feel like it's a whole team thing. You can't just be throwing that on the quarterback unless he out there being Rex Grossman. Like
still surprised you.
Oh God, bro. And I wasn't even a Bears fan, bro. Like I really was just like, I just was rooting for the city because we finally made it. That boy,
what a city!
Throwing out trash, bro. He was like, you get an interception, you get an interception, you get an interception, and then it's like, bro, all you had to do was just not be trash. Like that defense was so good. All you had to do is just don't be trash. And then he went out there with just serving up hot garbage. Freshly served hot garbage.
Oh man. We want Jay Cutler, man.
I was like, bro. But to get back to who would win their division, I just don't see the Broncos winning the division. Although Russell Wilson to that team, I think Jerry Jeudy's going to go crazy. But I just don't think they got enough juice on defense to where, like, I wouldn't take. I think it's going to be Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs as far as the defensive rankings. And I just, with you being that low, I don't think your offense is going to be that crazy for you to overtake the Raiders or the Chargers. Those are the two teams I have winning the division.
I could agree with that, and I do agree with that because also you talk about the defense, but even if you have the offense, you said you don't see it being that crazy. I think their offense will definitely be elevated, but it's like, is it going to be more elevated than the Raiders already is? The Chargers are with their weapons, and then you have Khalil Mack and Bosa on that outside. So for me, mine is pretty straightforward. I think the best, the person or the team, the team who has the best shot of winning the division out of those teams that you mentioned, those quarterbacks that you mentioned, are the Washington Commanders. I believe for all the reasons that you mentioned, and also because it's the most volatile division, right? It's the most volatile division. I know that the Eagles, they got a lot of new pieces and they look good on paper, but can Jalen Hurts really elevate that team? That's one.
Right.
Then, the Cowboys, they're a model of Mike McCarthyism and inconsistency, right? And then the AFC West, I just think that the AFC West, the talent there is too potent. And then the last division, what was the other division? We said that. And then for Deshaun Watson, I believe that he's going to get suspended or he may not play at all. And the Browns, when was the last time that they won the division? That's one. And they've been Super Bowl picks or whatever for no good reason, and they constantly failed. The Ravens have a better roster, and the Steelers are always in the mix. It's just, and you have the Super Bowl runner up. So yeah, I agree with you, man. With the, excuse me, I'm trying to get my words out today. I'm mumbling. Like old boy from Happy Feet, mumble. But no, I actually agree with you, Ralph, with the Washington Commanders. That was my pick as soon as I saw the question, just because the other divisions are more potent. And then you have a team in the Browns who really, quite frankly, they don't have a quarterback to me right now. So that's it.
Right. Yeah, I feel that, man. It's going to be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what happens this season because the AFC West is going to go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The NFC East finally has, because you never know. The Cowboys could come out and shock us, bro. Like, as much as I root against them, they could go out there and shock us. Jalen Hurts could end up being he could be trash. Because at this point, we don't really know what Jalen Hurts really is. Now it's like, I feel like him, along with like a Kirk Cousins and like a Derek Carr, it's like, yo, this is the season you got to show us something.
Right.
Because we've been giving you these excuses. You ain't had no help. You don't have no weapons, or the defense is bad. So like, you have a whole team now that we think should be able to compete at a high level. Now you got to show me something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I feel you on that. And
so, go ahead.
Oh no, and when you mentioned the I was going to mention the Raiders, your team too. I believe that Derek Carr is actually going to lead the NFL in passing yards this year.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. And so thank you all for watching, man. We got to wrap this up. You will have tuned into the Juke Boy Sports Show. Thank you. We appreciate it. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you like and follow on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. The He Say, She Say All one word channel. Make sure you like, subscribe on all of my socials as well. Twitch, TikTok, Instagram at KYNGRALPH.
And you can follow me on Instagram at @the.houseofhoops. Once again, Instagram at @the.houseofhoops.
All right. Good looking out. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.